Hello fellow followers, Deuteronomy, I love you, not because you are so good or great, but because you are so lost and little. The last of the books of Moses, a verse Jews hang on the door and a man that can still get it up. It's time for the book of Deuteronomy! In honour of one of the final verses of the book, this video will contain the 5 best Christian chat-up lines, like this one. So, I was reading the book of Numbers the other day, and I realised I didn't have yours. Pure gold. Deuteronomy is perhaps the most influential book in the rest of the Bible, with the rest of the Old Testament history books being written from its perspective, the prophets being highly influenced by it, and even Jesus and Paul. Central to the book is the strong emphasis on monotheism and loyalty to the one God, Yahweh. This is most famously seen in the Shema, Deuteronomy 6:4-5. Hear, O Israel, the Lord your God, the Lord is one. You shall love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, and with all your strength. Because of the verses that follow that, many modern-day Jews will have that verse hung on their door in a mezuzah, and will also put them in leather boxes which they will strap to their forehead and their arms. In Christianity, Jesus identifies it as the most important command. But in Deuteronomy, it's also clear that they're supposed to do this because God first loved them. Do you know why Solomon had 700 wives? It's because he never met you. As well as that, the promises to Abraham are still very much in view. That includes the land, increase in numbers, and their relationship with God. So we have a strong emphasis on the need for the Israelites to keep their relationship with God and to avoid idolatry and taking part in other religions. Hence the emphasis on their need to drive out all that already live in the land and who worship Baal, which I promise I'll talk about when we get to Joshua. And the emphasis for them all to regularly go to the place that the Lord their God will choose as a dwelling for his name. In other words, God again promises that he will dwell with them and they need to do their bit to keep that relationship alive. Which is where the law comes in, and their need to be holy and pure, and their need to care for the widow and the fatherless and the Levite. The Bible says we should feed the hungry, so I guess I better take you out to dinner. We also have constant reminders that they're about to go and possess the land, with the word the land occurring over 100 times in the book of Deuteronomy. Again, they're called to be part of this, with the instructions for them to drive out those who already live there. You and me, we're like loaves and fishes. We might just be a miracle. There's also a focus on them becoming a great nation. So for example, in the final chapter Moses dies, and yet they say this amazing thing about him. They say Moses was 120 years old, yet his eyes were not weak, nor his strength gone. The word strength there is the word leo. It means literally moisture or freshness. Some translated as strength, some translated as vigor, some translated as not wrinkled. It's actually a euphemism. Guess what for? That's right. The greatest thing they could say about this great hero of faith, the one that led them out of slavery, the one who met God himself on Mount Sinai, the greatest thing they can say about this one, he can still get it up. In other words, Moses could still do his bit to make them into a great nation. Just so you know, my strength has not gone. Importantly for the rest of the Bible, Deuteronomy also contains the promises of what will happen. It promises them great blessings if they succeed in taking the land and being in relationship with God and being his holy people. But it also says that if they don't do that, it will result in exile and loss of the land. And yet God's love will endure, and eventually they will come through this exile to a second Exodus. Those who have eyes to see it, the story of the whole Bible is right there. God bless, fellow followers. I know this video is kind of early, but it felt appropriate for Valentine's Day. And can I just say a happy Valentine's to my lovely wife, who I love with all my heart. This is a little dance because the whole video is in under 5 minutes.